Welcome back. Now, in the face of disruptions caused by the coronavirus pandemic to global economies, the Federal Executive Council of Nigeria has approved the sum of 2.3 trillion naira stimulus recommended by the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan. Now, that recommended, I should say, by a committee now set up by the president and headed, of course, by the vice president. It's actually that plan now that is known as the Economic Sustainability Plan. Now, the stimulus plan is expected to provide support for small businesses, create jobs, and ultimately prevent the economy from slipping into recession. But the pandemic is not the only serious matter that has confronted the country in past weeks. An affront to the Nigerian government now was seen at the Nigerian embassy in Ghana, where a building inside the Nigerian High Commission compound in Accra was demolished. There's also the rising spate of insecurity and rape cases, which remain one of the most talked about issues across the country today. All right, we now have Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who is a spokesperson of the House of Representatives, join us on the program now to discuss some of these issues. Honorable, thank you very much for joining us on the program once again. Let's start off with the economic stimulus. That's the recovery stimulus plan now approved by the Federal Executive Council. How much of an input did the National Assembly make in that plan?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and viewers, thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to appear on programs like this to educate Nigerians with the workings of the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives. We appreciate your effort in affording us this People's Parliament, the opportunity to interact, to partner with the people in educating them on our everyday work here at the National Assembly. Having said that, you will recall that the challenges of the COVID-19 came with an expectation that every stakeholder in the economy needed to make necessary adjustments since the projections, all the economic projections failed, both in the private sector and the public sector. Something needed to be done, and you know, before even the economic stimulus bill, we have been very sensitive to the workings of our economy. We have been very committed to that, and that was why we started with the Appropriation Act and make sure that it was passed in time. And we revised the calendar in the last 20 years, which has not been done, to enable the private sector and the public sector do a proper projection economically. We also came up with the Finance Act, which has the objective of promoting fiscal equity, reforming domestic tax laws to align with best global practices, and introduction of tax incentives for investment in infrastructure and capital market, and also that will support the MSMEs, as well as raising revenue for the government. We also came up with Electricity Power Sector Reform Act Amendment Bill, which ended estimated billing, which was actually taking a lot of money from the people, poor Nigerians, and putting it in the hands of few, and indirectly impacting on investments in Nigeria and economic progress of the country. We have also looked at the Labour Act, and we felt that there was an amendment that was needed to be done there, so that the labor force, the manpower that we have in this nation will be more motivated. And so that bills was out there to end casualization of workers. You remember when one lady cried out from the bank and said she has spent her years and there is no job security. So we have also come up with a solution to increasing the manpower, like we said, access to higher education bill, which gives student loan, which is interest free, because the more we build our people, the more they will contribute to the economy. And also, lastly, the CAMA, the Company Ally Matters Act, which has been around and almost obsolete after 28 years of existence. We needed to make it more friendly for people, bridge up the shortcomings to make sure that we promote the ease of doing business in Nigeria, and also to make it, serve as a catalyst for the growth of business startups in Nigeria. These are some of the efforts we have put in place before the emergency economic stimulus bill, which I'm sure today is being celebrated celebrated because there is a buy-in by the executive on this bill. And what the bill sought to achieve, we have the first one and the second one. What it sought to achieve was to provide temporary relief, for companies and individuals who are facing adverse financial consequences of this business slowdown, the slowdown caused by the COVID-19. That it has touched everywhere, including you that is interviewing me. You know that all your projections this year is not going as planned. That bill also, we set it out to protect the employment status of Nigerians who might otherwise become unemployed by virtue of this COVID impact. We have also tried to remove the worry of so many mortgage people who have taken mortgage from, especially the Federal Mortgage Bank. This bill also is seeking to provide a moratorium, for the individuals who might be thinking, how are we going to pay for our shelter at the end of the day? The bill also is seeking to eliminate additional fiscal bottlenecks on the importation of medical equipment as well as medicines and personal protection equipment, because you see, we need them now. And if the bottleneck is harsh, it will affect the importation, it will affect the price, it will also increase its scarcity. And we don't want it to be scarce at the moment if we're going to protect the life of Nigerians, which Section 14(2)(b) of our Constitution says it is the responsibility of government to do that. So this is one of the also the bill is generally to cater for the general well-being of Nigerians pending the eradication of this pandemic and to return to a stable economy, to our economic stability. It seeks to return the country, bridge the gap now and until we return to economic stability. So that is the input from the National Assembly with regards to this stimulus bill.
All right. Let's also talk. Before I forget, the second aspect of it is the part that deals with giving a tariff, for two months for citizens of Nigeria who have been paying electricity tariff to put a relief for people who are paying electricity tariff, so that we can save that money for individuals who might take that money into something else. So that is the second part of the emergency economic stimulus bill. All right. Now, other than that, now let's talk about. Let's also talk about the issue of insecurity. I know it's a very huge concern, and at some point we know the leadership of the National Assembly met with the service chiefs and all of that. What exactly is the House, for instance, doing to help resolve this issue of security in the country? Because it appears things are getting worse.
Yes, this has been a very serious issue, and which has been taken seriously by the House of Representatives. If you watch or if you've been monitoring the activities of the House, you will recall that there is hardly a week that will pass by without emotion coming up with regards to our insecurity. And you know how the National Assembly, the Parliament functions. We function through the use of bills, motions, petitions, and resolutions from these motions. And when our constituents are touched, we feel their pain, and what we do is to present it before 360 constituencies, representative, which is presented before Nigeria, and say, this is what is happening. It is happening in this part of the country, and this is what needs to be done, and we debate it and make a resolution which is forwarded to the various agencies. And in the case of security, if you recall, recently we celebrated a policeman, Abba Kyari, who has been doing wonderful.
And I thought that was a wonderful initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much. We did that to encourage these men and women who are working for our security. You see, sometimes we keep complaining and we don't pause a little bit to appreciate the military, the serious ones, the genuine ones who are there protecting our lives and our properties. the Navy, the Air Force, the police people. So when we saw the profile of Abba Kyari, who has been working so hard across the nation, not just limiting himself to one part of the nation, we felt good about that, and we said we needed, as a house, we watchdog the executive, but that we are playing these checks and balances does not mean that when there is need for us to commend the activities, we should ignore it. So we called him and we gave him an honor, and we recommended him for a national honor. And why did we do that? It's to motivate other ones who are in the field working for us, to tell them that we are watching you and we appreciate what you are doing, but if you are not doing well, we are going to complain. So having done that, the same day we honored a policeman was the same day we asked the service chiefs to have an interaction with us. So from the military, the head of defense was there, and they honored the invitation. And I give this to them. I'm very impressed that the IG of police was there, the director of DSS was there, the head of defense force was there, the head of NSA was there. They were all there, and that is an honor to Nigeria, that when Nigeria called them, that they were not found wanting. And when they came, we had a closed door section to discuss this very pertinent issue. And as you know, it's a security matter. We cannot tell you in detail publicly what we discussed. But suffice that to say that they had their time in explaining both their accomplishments, their programs and projections for the future, as well as their challenges. So we were able to understand their strengths, we were able to analyze their weaknesses, and we were able to offer them a hand of partnership to make sure they achieve what they want to achieve for the country. Because you see, our mantra as a house is nation building a joint task. It's not the task of the executive alone. It's not a task of the legislative arm alone. It is a task that involves all the arms of government. And the earlier we come together on national issues and provide solutions without throwing tantrums and raising acrimonious relationship, the better for the nation. Would that work? Yes, it will work. Is it working? It is working. Have we gotten there? No. Are we going to get there? Yes, because when there is peace within these arms of government, they can think well, they can project better. So we saw their needs, and they asked for legislative intervention on some of their needs. And of course, we are going to oblige them. And without looking back, in obliging them, we are securing the lives of Nigerians. So we have understood their needs. One of the needs is that the money that is appropriated to them gets to them late. Nigerians need to know. It's one thing to say, oh, there is so much money given to the military, given to defense, given to all of them. The question becomes, at what point do they get that money? If they plan to do something in 3 months and you give them that money after 4 months, you have underdeveloped their strategy by 3 months. So we are looking into that, and we are calling the various agencies and ministries in charge of that to make sure that when this money is appropriated, it gets to them on time so that we can follow the money. Because sometimes when we go to follow the money in our oversight function, there is nothing to see. They will tell you, this has been appropriated, but it has not been funded. So we want both the appropriation and the funding to go at the same time so that these people can do their job. That does not mean that they are doing wonderfully well. But is there room for improvement? The answer is yes, with our support. And I encourage Nigerians to support them. Some people call for their resignation. Some people say they are no longer useful. Yeah, there are so many schools of thought to that, but the question becomes, if we remove these few people who are the head of these agencies, will it bring to an end the problems of our insecurity? The answer is no. It will not happen overnight. And there is some support they are asking for that we need to give to them to enable them to do better. They have highlighted them. Are we supposed to do them? Yes. Are we going to give them a timeline for them to perform? The answer is yes. If we give you the support you are looking for, if we partner with you through legislative intervention, you owe us, because by then we are passing the ball to your court, and we'll give you a timeline for your own action plan to give us the result that Nigerians are looking for. If they don't do it, then the house will wear another cap, and that is a cap of strong checks and balancing, and they will tell us what they do with our money and our time.
Let's talk about the issue of rape, which of course is a very huge topic in the country at the moment. Earlier in the month, we saw the House declare a state of emergency. But beyond that emergency that the House declared, call for a state of emergency now on the issue of rape. But beyond that, what else has the House done, to bring this issue of rape to check?
Thank you very much, DEJI. It's always a sad one when I think about rape. Always sad because, yes, it did not start now, but it's like it's more now. It did not start now because statistics has shown that between 2012 and 2013, 30% of our women suffered one form of sexual violence or the other. It is very sad and heartbreaking and very emotional for me whenever I discuss it, because the statistics, they don't look good. Statistics has shown that in Africa, 34.4% of women suffer sexual violence. And there is a report recently I read, compiled by Women at Risk International Foundation. You'll be amazed at what they found out. That 24.8% of young women between the ages of 18 and 24 are sexually abused.
Which is a terrible statistic.
And out of this percentage, only 5% report speaks up. And out of these 5%, only 3.5% got assistance. Now the question becomes, why is it happening like this? Why are people not speaking up? Why is it so prevalent now? It's so prevalent because when you hear that a young man in Kaduna raped 40 people, including a woman of 80 years, old enough to be the grandmother or the great-grandmother, that shows that something needed to be done. And when you read and you hear about how Tina Ezekwe was raped, how Owa Omozua was raped, and when you hear of the reported minor who was raped recently in Jigawa State, it makes the heart bleed. And that was why the current House have taken a campaign that we call the Reps Say No to Rape. Hashtag the Reps Say No to Rape, or hashtag Reps Say No to Rape. We took it upon ourselves.
But beyond that campaign, I understand your point, but beyond the campaign, what else is the House doing? Because we've seen campaigns like that in the past. Campaigns are not enough to stop the problem.
I'm coming to that. I'm giving you a background of what it is at the moment and what we are doing. What it is at the moment, which we have found out as a House also, is that the rape culture in Nigeria needs to be changed. What is a rape culture? The attitude of blaming and shaming the victims. The attitude of victimizing this victim. That is allowing the culprit, the rapist, to go free. That is what is fueling this rape that is going around the country. People are not speaking up. Mothers are beating their child that gets raped, and people are being blamed by their way of dressing or the time they visited the male friend. The women are the ones who suffer this accusation, this blame game. We need to change it. We need to change it so that the stigma that is on anybody that is raped would be changed. We need to change it by putting up support centers across the nation, by NGOs and by also our own public service, to make sure people get help when they are raped. Now, going forward, we have raised the campaign, like I said. We have called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency on that. We have also called that there should be a more effective campaign by the federal government of Nigeria using the National Orientation Agency. We have also raised a call that the states should domesticate the various laws like the Child Right Act, like the Violent Act against a public person, that is the VAPP Act, like also the anti-rape laws, that they should domesticate it. Recently, the Speaker had an interaction with the 36 speakers of the various House of Assembly, and they discuss about how to domesticate. I don't know why the states are what they're waiting for to domesticate this law. They should domesticate these laws, and we're going to give them all the support that they need to make sure that that is done. We have also called on NAPTIP to begin to draw up a register that will make people who are found, who are convicted, to be on that register with their names and their photographs. Okay, we have also stepped up the game by calling on the judiciary to speedily handle cases that had to do with rape. A situation whereby it stays there forever, gives impetus to these people to keep doing it, because they will be bailed and they go back to rape some more and nothing happens 5 years, 10 years down the line. And the question has been, what is the thing that delays this? What delays it is the forensic, collection of tests. When rape takes place, we don't have a strong system to collect, the required, text report, evidence, the evidence that is needed. And all over the world now, it's happening in Belgium, it's happening in Germany, it's happening in UK, it's happening in America, even Afghanistan, even South Africa. They have started what they call the rape kit. The rape kit is a kit that is used immediately this happens, and the public sector can get it and distribute it across all the primary health centers in the country, so that all the primary health centers we have the rape kit. Once there is any suspicion that rape took place, the child will be taken there and it will be used to collect the evidence. This evidence, when collected immediately, will help in speeding up the work of the judiciary in analyzing whether it was rape or it was not rape. So, and we are calling that the Ministry of Health should do something about buying this rape kit for all the primary health centers. So this is what we are doing as a house to make sure that this sensitization from the National Orientation Agency have been called on, and also we have also encouraged the committees, relevant committees like the Women Affairs Committee, the Human Rights Committee, the Committee on Justice, to present a bill on the amendment of the laws that deals with rape. And I'm sure when we put all this together, definitely we are going to have a solution, towards what is happening at the moment about rape.
Finally, before I let you go, Honorable, one more question I have to ask you. The issue, that diplomatic spat now between Nigeria and Ghana, the destruction of a part of the Nigerian High Commission staff building in Ghana. Of course, the House of Reps came out very forcefully demanding some kind of reciprocity, so to speak. But the executive appears to be taking a very soft approach. What's your take on that?
Yeah, thank you for raising that. I, for one, have always fought for the dignity of this country, and whenever the dignity of this country is touched, you will hear responses from people like me. When they attack Nigerians in China, I raise emotion. When they were maltreated in China, I came up and I said, no, that cannot happen. When xenophobic reaction took place in South Africa, I came up and I spoke on the floor of the National Assembly saying no to it. And now that this one is happening, it has happened in Kinshasa last time, it happened now in Ghana, and this morning I had also something happen in Germany about our embassy also, whether it was locked up or that, we are still investigating that. But coming to what happened in Ghana, to be honest, is a terrible event, which all of us need to condemn, because we signed the pact, we signed the diplomatic parts, to have a relationship with one another in line with the provisions of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961. And if you read Article 2 in conjunction with Article 22 of the convention, you'll be hearing something like the receiving state is under special duty to take all appropriate steps to protect the premises of the mission against any intrusion or damage, and to prevent any disturbance of the peace of the mission or impairment of its dignity. So the responsibility is on the receiving nation to ensure that the safety of the people who are there and their property was guaranteed. Did it happen in this one? The answer is no. And the question is, coming down to apologize, yes, it is very good because they still want our diplomatic relationship. We are their big brothers. But they ought to know, the Foreign Ministry of Ghana ought to know at the time that particular property was gotten, we are supposed to have been informed. I know, according to protocol, a receiving nation will always receive a communication from the mission that we are buying property, that we want to build this in this property, and approval supposed to be enhanced, facilitated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in that country. So they cannot say that they didn't know that we existed there. But having said that, we have raised our voice through the wisdom of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who vehemently condemned it. And in his word, he asks, if this happened to American government, American embassy, what would be happening now? If it happened to the UK, what would be happening now? If it happened to Canada, he asked that question.
That's quite true, because
so we are pushing now.
I can't imagine,
they have going forward.
Imagine how Trump would respond.
I didn't hear that, but let me round up. Going forward, the speaker has also engaged the Speaker of the Parliament in Ghana, and they have apologized and have assured us that the property was going to be reinstated and that the people, the culprit, are going to be handled according to the law. So they are reaching out diplomatically, and I'm sure we're not going to reciprocate by attacking their own building here. It's not expected that we do that. We are their big brother. We must show them what the provisions of the article of the convention maintains, and we are living by it.
Yeah, I was just saying, because you obviously didn't hear, probably didn't get what I was saying. I was just saying, I'm wondering what would have happened if that was the American embassy that was destroyed. How President Trump, for instance, would have reacted.
Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine if this happened to America. And I like that. I'm sure the Ghanaians would not have dared it. I like that. I like that about America. They are proudly Americans. And if I'm President Trump and you attack my embassy, I don't think I will wait for your apology before I make a statement. So I give that to him, and to that extent I give it to him. I give it to Americans because they protect the dignity of America, and that is how I want to protect the dignity of Nigeria. And that is how any leader should protect the dignity of their country, because we don't have two countries, it's only our own country that we have. They believe in America so much, and they can do anything to preserve that. We should believe in Nigeria, and we should do anything to preserve the dignity of our Nigeria, of our country. We should not allow people to treat us the way they want. Today I heard that in Indonesia, that the embassy was mobbed and the flag was burned. You see how it is spreading. Kinshasa today, South Africa tomorrow, Ghana next tomorrow, and Germany this morning, in the afternoon, Jakarta. For how long is it going to be? I think it's high time the executive takes a stand and make our position known on some of these things in the way it's supposed to be, so that people will learn from that and know that when you touch us, we will react. I believe diplomatic way of handling issues is okay, but some times when you attack a nation, if you attack my embassy, you have attacked my nation, and I wouldn't allow you to come and apologize. What if people lost lives there? What if people died there? Then we'll wait for your apology before we can. Is the apology going to resurrect those lives? For me, people should stop attacking Nigerian embassies. And if you give me the opportunity, if you attack Nigerian embassy, I will make a statement that would discourage anybody who is thinking of doing that some other time.
Thank you very much, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, for talking to us. Well, that's how much we can take on the program. But if you want to see this program again, it's simple. Go to our website, tv360nigeria.com. You'll find the program and lots more there. You can also follow us on our various social media platforms. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.